it's the utter thumping boredom of the narcissist. She's got one topic, herself, and one speed, and it's how awful it is to be her. But don't you want to look like her and go to her affiliate link and buy the outfit that she wore at Bondi Beach?
Hi, all. Welcome to Recollections May Vary, a royal recap. I'm Kinsey Schofield here with the nerves, Maureen Callahan, and I get to see you soon. I'm so excited. We're not going to officially say for what, but just know we're going to be dressed to the nines, aren't we, Maureen?
We're cooking a little something up,
We are.
just a little something special. Kinsey is coming to New York City.
And
It's a
I'm going to
big
wear my fake
deal.
eyelashes for you.
That's a huge deal. I only do fake. I don't do my own fakes. I
Yeah.
only, if I'm lucky enough to have a makeup artist helping me, then but I love a good fake. Fake. Do you prefer the strip or the individuals, Kins?
I prefer the individuals because I have developed that allergy to glue. And
Hmm.
so now I do little individual ones just on the corner and I don't wake up with swollen eyelids.
Oh gosh, no, 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 that's no good. That's no
Yeah.
good. Yeah, no, I love individuals as well. Whenever I see people now with like a strip, like
Yeah.
anyone like on reality TV and they're wearing like a strip, it looks so it's so harsh by
Yeah.
comparison, I think.
Well, we have to give some sympathy because I saw a debate about this when it came to traders. Everybody was like, why are all the women on traders wearing wigs and hats? And apparently, on some of these shows, a lot of these reality shows, there are no professional hair and makeup people, but with like traders specifically, I guess you would go so quickly from challenge to like Judgment Day or whatever that people were just like throwing on, I mean, kind of brilliant, bringing wigs and funky hats to try to look stylish and not tore up from the floor up.
It's a very clever hack. I
Yeah, I
give them a
mean,
lot of credit.
maybe we need some wigs. I don't know. I don't. Breaking news is tough.
I wouldn't go that far yet.
Okay.
As it is, it's like I'm just changing my color up a little bit. Like I'm going a little bit into low light areas, and that's enough for me. I don't need to. By the way, the people who really need wigs, and this will be a very interesting thing to see as the year progresses and events come about. But the amount of female celebrities I am seeing now, who I am convinced are wearing wigs, and they are wearing wigs because they are losing their hair, and they are losing their hair because they're all on GLP-1s.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say from because Megan used to complain about how do she hated doing her hair every day on Suits, like that it was ruining her
I'm
hair.
sorry, I'm sorry. She hated doing her hair
Megan
every
hated
day.
having her hair done every day on
That's
Suits.
the correct, that's the
Yes,
correct.
yes.
Hated having her, which is a privilege. If you can
Privilege.
have a professional do your hair every day to make you look so good at your glamour job, basic cable though it may be, at your glamour job as like eighth on the call sheet, what she's out of her, like everything is a and a moan. Is this where you want to start, Kings?
Yeah,
Like, okay.
I think this is where we're gonna start. All right. Well, let's talk about the Australia trip. I hesitated to report on this initially because I wasn't sure it was true, but I've seen too many people reporting on it, so now I do believe it's true. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry reportedly snubbed by the Irwin family during their Australia trip after hoping to visit the Australia Zoo and connect with Robert Irwin. According to claims, the Irwins declined because of their longstanding loyalty to the monarchy and close ties with Prince William. Robert works on Earthshot pretty closely with Prince William, and they did not want to risk ruffling feathers with the royal family. And we've seen them with the royal family, alongside the royal family at official engagements for years. Robert Irwin could teach Prince Harry a thing or two about the loss of a parent and how to function with joy afterwards and learn the lessons and just contribute positively to the world. So now I'm kind of like, maybe actually this relationship should develop.
It's so funny you say that. I was just thinking the same thing. It's a small club, famous children of far more famous parents, far more influential parents. I'm sure Robert Irwin does very good work, but his father was like a global star, who die young and in unthinkably tragic circumstances. And that you would think would have been a connective tissue. But Harry is so damaged, and such a so just he and his wife are just so completely radioactive at this point. And I would bet, by the way, that Robert Irwin, just my supposition, has far more in common with Prince William because they both are resilient. They both are survivors. They do not dwell in what they don't have. They dwell in what they've been given and in their roles on the world stage to try to give back. So why would Robert Irwin want to meet with a loser like Harry?
It was so fun during Dancing with the Stars too, and Robert really was like a superstar here in the States. I think it was that last season.
Oh
And
yeah.
we got a video from Prince William congratulating him on making it as far as he did. And I remember thinking at the time, Harry and Meghan wish it was them on Dancing with the Stars, encouraging people. They want that type of role, but they're really just so toxic here. And you're right. Robert and William do have so much more in common. They're creators. They don't dwell on the past. And we just were talking about Meghan complaining about having her hair professionally done every day. And then there's Harry in Australia complaining about how the royal family being a royal killed his mom. Um, do you think that he will ever learn his lesson when it comes to rewriting history? Because the royal family didn't kill his mom. It was the drunk driver, the lack of seatbelt, being irresponsible, running around with Dodie, who's he never he continues to rewrite history, and he lingers. Dr. Sophie Shindaka would agree in libel in some of these spaces.
It's incredible how arrested he is, how completely wedded he is to this version of events, which is ahistorical. It's not true. My understanding, tell me if I'm wrong, Kinsey, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Didn't William look at the autopsy report?
They both had access to numerous reports that circulated because remember, Mohammed claimed that the royal family had killed Princess Diana for a while. So there were multiple inquiries into it just to shut him up.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the boys had access to all of it.
So they've both read, I would assume, my understanding is, and I could be wrong, so forgive me if I am, but that William read those reports, read the autopsy report, and was satisfied with the official finding. And he doesn't blame the royal family. The overarching need Harry has to blame the royal family is that he is the spare.
Mhm.
He is forever in his mind number two, useless, redundant, not as important as his brother. And I really think this is the wellspring of the rage. It's not that he truly believes being a royal killed his mother, because if he truly believed that, he would not allow his wife nor his children to carry royal titles. None of it makes sense,
No,
right? So
no.
he's just a hypocrite. He's kind of a simpleton. He's not that bright. He thinks that he is proper pride of place in addressing any number of symposiums about mental health when he's one of the more mentally unstable, prominent people we've seen on the world stage in quite some time. His useless grifter of a wife is the same way, So I just found this. I found this Australia tour particularly. Um, Again, they're the best at being the worst.
Mhm.
Just when you think they can't outdo themselves in terms of being um, insufferable isn't even strong enough a word. I mean, I find so much of what they got up to over there just offensive, and especially the visit to the children's hospital and the children with cancer. And this is, I believe, Meghan is a malignant narcissist, because even to narcissists, other people aren't really people. They're trophies, they're things to be owned, they're possessions, or they're props. Harry's a possession, hence we're always touching and grabbing and claiming ownership. And the children, even though they're children who are suffering with and fighting cancer, they're props. They're props for her.
Even her own children are props. I mean,
Mhm.
using them in right before she releases something new on her website, we get a back of the head shot of Lily and a back of the head shot of, or rarely do we, I mean, proof of life. We need proof of life for Archie.
Hmm.
And then releasing those new $64 candles or whatever about using their titles. It's so gross. You mentioned hypocrisy. I wonder if Harry ever thinks about the fact that, because in all of these documents, there are all of those images of Diana dying in the back of the car. I think that they have been published less than 5 times because
Hmm.
people were very careful about publishing their very sensitive images. But one of the outlets that did publish those pictures of her dying in the back of the car are CBS here in the United States. I believe it was a 48 hours episode.
Hmm.
And at the time, William and Harry pitched a nasty fit, saying it was horrible that CBS would opt to release those images of their mom dying in the back of the car. Those, it's just how insensitive to not only do to them, but to her legacy.
It
And
is a news story, though. It's a news story. And if
but
that,
have you noticed how Harry works with almost exclusively CBS
he
after?
doesn't give a,
Yeah, he really doesn't. I mean, you never see William kicking around with CBS because I feel like when he takes a stand, he keeps it. But Harry just goes to the highest bidder.
isn't the line too on William that, you just do not want to get on the opposite side of him, that
Mhm.
he can hold a grudge, you
Yeah.
know? And I can only imagine what he's got in store for these two when he does ascend to the throne. I will be shocked if he does not strip these titles because what they're doing in stepping all over in just trashing the Sandringham Summit, in trashing the late Queen's edict that there is no half in and no half out. You are either all in or you're all out. And this Australia tour was them basically saying, F you, we're doing it the way we want. We don't care what the late Queen had to say about this. And I just cannot imagine that it's sitting well with William. I cannot.
Do you think at all that the rebellion we see specifically from Prince Harry is an act of desperation, and he is poking at his family to get any reaction out of them because he's been so iced out, an amount of iced out that he's so stupid he never truly anticipated. Was it the Vanity Fair article? I think it's the Vanity Fair article that says that one of Harry's friends was talking to this author at a party, and they say like Harry really did not realize what the consequences of the book Spare, how deep those consequences would be. He was oblivious to the divide he was creating.
So this reminds me of it was an interview that Harry either gave a sit down one on one with either Tom Bradby or Anderson Cooper. Anderson Cooper, that interview was for 60 Minutes, which is
CBS.
on CBS. Exactly. And but regardless of who he was talking to, I was shocked when he said this after all of his grievances, after the betrayals in Spare, the private conversations, the text messages, the just the outing of very intimate details. One that I found very, very poignant, which was that the king, I don't know if he still does this, but at the point of publication, as an adult, often travels with his childhood teddy bear. And I found that a very poignant private detail. And I thought to myself, the rage that Harry must feel. Nothing is sacred. But after all of that, he said to whoever it was, well, now that this is over and I've gotten it out of my system in the book, I'm planning to reconcile with my family. And I remember thinking, God, how spoiled, entitled, idiotic he is. He doesn't understand that reconciliation needs the other side to have any inclination to engage with that. And what he has just done with this book and the Netflix special before that and the Oprah interview before that with Meghan was set fire to any hope of a reconciliation. Especially, he has to know his brother better than anybody else. Is
Mm-hmm.
that a bear you really want to poke? You really want to F around and find out with William?
Yeah. I was desperate. I was on a flight recently and they didn't have a TV, and I was like, what do I do? So I guess I'm a masochist. I started Spare again on audiobook because I was like, well, it's always good to go back and catch him in another lie, allegedly,
Mm-hmm.
allegedly, for attorney's sakes.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks at the beginning of Spare about it's after Prince Philip's funeral, and he's patiently waiting for King Charles and Prince William to approach because they've agreed to have a discussion. But he talks about um, how he's watching them walk up, and they seem united, and
Mhm.
they're typically not united. They're typically he says they're typically kind of at each other's throats, but as he's watching them approach, he's waving and smiling. They're not responding. And he feels this sense that he's about to get pounced on by these two. And I think that there's like a real resentment there that his betrayal has, and I know that there are always problems behind the scenes, but truly his betrayal has bonded these two people in a way that they probably would have never been bonded, and brought them closer than, between that and the cancer of both Catherine and the king,
Mhm.
closer than they ever would have been. And I don't think he realizes how resentful he sounds as he's describing these two approaching him on the Windsor estate, and how uncomfortable he is with that unity.
Well, he's the architect of his own misery.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, here they come. They're united. They both feel and think the same way after these massive betrayals. Is he looking for pity? Is
Yeah.
he looking for sympathy? And mentioning the cancer with both Charles and Catherine, something that enormous really does tend to have a clarifying effect on how you consider problems, whether you now reconsider them as big as they used to look or as small as they used to look, or who is sort of proper to be around you at any given time. And none of that brought either Harry or Meghan to any sort of humility.
No.
None whatsoever. And that just tells you everything.
I mean, it's true. They would then go and use cancer-stricken children to
Mhm.
elevate themselves, elevate their profile,
Mhm.
versus being more sensitive about the fact that this is something that the British royal family is currently dealing with. Um, yeah, let's go. I can't wait to hear your reaction about this. This is a story from In Touch Weekly. Meghan Markle is absolutely buzzing after she and husband Prince Harry returned home from their trip to
Ooh.
Australia. That does feel like something Meghan Markle would be doing. In her mind, this source says, in her mind, it proves everything she's been saying all along, that she doesn't need the palace machine to shine because she just naturally connects with people in a way that feels far more authentic and modern. Did she say this herself? She loves to tell us how authentic she is. The source also says the outpouring of love they've gotten
Mhm.
in Australia has really lit a fire under her, and she wants to keep the momentum going. There are plenty of places to travel to next. Harry sees this quasi royal life as his destiny and the direction he wants to go, while for Meghan, it's just one of many irons she has in the fire. She doesn't want to limit herself, the source explains. That being said, she loves being seen as a huge success on this kind of stage, admits the source. If anything, it only reinforces her belief that she can best Princess Kate when it comes to what she can accomplish. I want to be like, that sounds so silly, it can't be true, but like that sounds so Meghan Markle. Like, is Meghan the source on the phone with In Touch Weekly?
Yeah, you know how Donald Trump used to disguise his voice and call reporters in New
What was it,
York?
Doug? He called his name was Doug something.
His alter ego, his
Yeah.
publicist, right? It was, like feeding all this, That's Megan, except she's not really even, I think, hiding it. I mean, I think, the level of delusion, it's actually frightening. It's frightening. When your entire entourage of bodyguards and security is leading you across a beach in Australia, and there is an immovable woman in a bathing suit laying on her belly, reading a book or journaling or whatever, and she barely lifts her head to see this chaos and like goes right back down to her business. That says you are irrelevant. Or when people immediately ascribe the worst motives to you in visiting a children's hospital and insisting that the children who have cancer remove their masks for your photo op, or when you show up to a homeless shelter wearing clothing and jewelry that equal the down payment of a house, or when you arrive for your walkabout in Sydney to nobody there. So it's not a walkabout anymore. It's if a tree falls. if that is what you consider a resounding success and the expression and outpouring of love and support for you, I love this for her. I love it for Meghan.
It it feels like we're not even in the same universe that she's in.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I know that the algorithm primarily shows us what they think we'll agree with. Like, I'm not dumb, but I did struggle to find positive coverage of Meghan Markle in Australia. So, what is she saying? Also, what's the strategy behind going to Australia and complaining in so many different venues? Talking to these children that, you know, they've they're struggling with student loans, or their credit card was declined when they went to get gas recently, about how she's the most trolled person in the world, sitting at the Her Best Life conference talking about how ever since Harry and her, ever since they picked each other, people have been mean to her. Harry complaining about royal life. That is not a winning strategy. And we hear in Betrayal that Dr. Sophie Shandaka approached Harry and said, "You need to focus on winning. You need to focus on the future. You need to be a motivational speaker, be positive." How is that not like, to like quote Justin Bieber, like, how is he not clocking that? How is he not clocking that he has to pivot and be more positive?
Kinsey, you know how they say that if you're not careful, your face will freeze that way?
Yeah.
That's the psyche. Like that's it. I think it's formed in concrete now. I don't think he's capable of pivoting. I think he and his wife truly see the world through the lens of victimhood. I think they love it. I think they love being martyrs. I don't understand what you think is appealing about moaning when you live in a mansion that has 14 bathrooms, is worth $14 million. You're doing Harry, so per this source that is definitely not named Meghan Markle, feels the quasi royal life is great for him, even though he says in Australia, I hated being a royal and it killed my mother. Well, which is it?
Mm-hmm.
It can't be both. And then Megan goes, it's the utter thumping boredom of the narcissist. She's got one topic, herself, and one speed, and it's how awful it is to be her. But don't you want to look like her and go to her affiliate link and buy the outfit that she wore at Bondi Beach? You tell me, because I can't make heads or tails of it.
Well, also, I was the most trolled person in the world, while also telling us that she never logs on to social media. She stays off social media for her own protection, blah, blah, blah. Like, if I'm, sometimes I have people reach out to me and they go, "Are you okay? Like, I saw something about you online." And
Hmm.
I go, "I'm fine because I didn't see it and I don't want to." You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
and then
Hmm.
I don't go and tell people are mean to me on TikTok. Like, I have no, I'm oblivious and I love being
Hmm.
oblivious. And so, like, it doesn't make sense that she tells us, and she tries to stay above the fray when she's sitting in front of Bloomberg or she's sitting in front of Forbes. And she's like, "Well, I just don't know what's said about me online because I'm above all that." And then she'll sit in a room full of kids that are truly dealing with some pretty horrific things and go, "No, no, no, no. I am the ultimate victim. I was the most trolled person in the world." Like, the audacity is pretty great.
Well, like I said, if she'll take being the best at being the worst.
I
She'll
love
take
that.
so
I love
she'll
that.
take like, but you can't. She can't just be trolled. She has to be the most trolled, right? She can't just be bullied. Us talking about the real person we're all seeing. She has to be the most bullied. And I loved to, as well, the sorry, not to be redundant, but the report that she stayed only 2 hours at that $3,000 per head. It was billed ahead of time. Join Megan for quote a girls retreat like no other. Now, if you want to say that a 3-day retreat in which the guest of honor, who everyone's paying top dollar for, sits there for 2 hours total, okay, that is a girls retreat like no other. Do you know? It's just like I don't and Harry, he spoke at an event, mental health, $1,000 a head. I
Yeah.
mean, who are these people who are still paying this amount of money? These two are laughing at them.
Yeah. No, we are too. We are too. A girl, that's false advertising. Come spend a weekend with Meghan Markle, and then you accidentally nap too long and you've missed Meghan Markle throughout the entire weekend, I would be absolutely livid. But I also would never be stupid enough to pay money to go hang out with Meghan Markle. I'd rather die in a fire.
But
I,
Kinsey, there's no real headline coming out of that event.
mhm.
Do you know what I mean? Like the script is always the same. We have a very limited, narrow amount of things that we discuss, and they are
Rodney King, God love him.
soap, the soap ad, um, eating off of a tray table while reading Ms. Magazine and watching Jeopardy, and then smash cut to Harry,
Yeah.
and being victimized, and but it's all me, 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 me. It's incredibly intensely boring.
Mm. And not worth a dollar. Not, I mean, not,
She's slung these wares before. She's
yeah,
slung it all. I mean, that's one of the reasons I believe Netflix dropped her.
right.
That's it. They have nothing else in their well. And I think they've got to convince themselves that Australia was a success, even though the press dubbed them the ginger and the whinger. I hear from a lot of people in Australia, a lot of our Australian nerve viewers who say that there was another on-air personality. It could have been Rita Pahani. It wouldn't surprise me. I love her. Who called them pay-per-view royals,
Mhm.
which I think is amazing. That petition, 45,000 people strong at last. Report who said we do not want them here, nor do we want our tax dollars paying for their security. They're not popular. And by the way, did you see a single Australian? Think of all the pop stars and actors and prominent people that Diana met and loved. And I'm sure Kylie Minogue was someone who Diana met. But like, there are no famous Australians who want to come out and like be seen with these two.
That's a very good point. I didn't even think about that. Somehow they still manage to dupe Ed Sheeran, not a famous Australian, but every once in a while I see Ed Sheeran with them. And I'm like, for the love of God, Ed Sheeran, please distance yourself. I know you're in this rare pack of people with red hair, but you don't have to lower yourself by hanging out with the Duke and Duchess of Devastation.
Ed Sheeran kind of strikes me maybe as intellectually at the same level as Harry. He doesn't strike me as the sharpest. I also think wasn't Ed Sheeran living with Courtney Cox at the time? Harry
Oh.
writes about this in Spare.
Mhm.
Harry was invited to that party, that private party at Courtney's house.
Where he talked to a trash can.
But wrote about finding the magic mushrooms, if I have this right, in the fridge and taking them, and how everybody at the party had access to drugs. And those are like just stories you do not tell out of school, or if you do, you do it in your memoir when you're like 80 years old, and it reads as kind of funny, But he basically outed her as having,
And she's
it.
got like young adult, teenage, young adult kids. Like, I'm
It's just
sure she
not
doesn't want that out
cool.
there.
You just don't do that.
Yeah.
Or if you want to write about it, it's an unnamed person, an unnamed location. The celebrities you maybe flick to hints, but And Ed Sheeran, I think, was living with Courtney. Like, does that not tell you that these are people not to be trusted?
For
That
sure.
they cannot keep a confidence, that they don't understand. Like, you enter somebody's private residence, like that is a level of trust that has been extended to you, and you respond accordingly.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned some of the feedback coming out of Australia. The Independent grabbed one of the quotes, and I thought you would think this was funny, from Claire Harvey. She's the editorial director of the Australian newspaper. And she said, the crowds consisted of this who were gathering to see Harry and Meghan. The crowds consisted of the same people who gather outside court if celebrities are up on drink driving charges, or someone's giving out meatball samples outside the butchers. That I thought was so well put, because I saw exactly what she was trying to describe there.
And this is an older reference, but when Frank Sinatra was starting out, his manager would pay teenage girls like $5 to show up where he was and scream their heads off and like pretend to faint. That's what this feels like to me.
That's so cute. I love that intel. I love that. Well, who's the friend of Meghan Markle's that I actually don't think they're friends anymore, but she's one of the many celebrities that went to the wedding that I don't think engages with Meghan Markle anymore, but she's married to Nick Jonas.
Priyanka Chopra.
She's been recently accused of faking a fan encounter, which only stood out to me because I knew of her as Meghan Markle's previous friend, but staging somebody coming up and freaking out in front of her while there's paparazzi there. And I have little sympathy for her because she did a show for Amazon not too long ago where they made fun of Princess Catherine. And
Oh,
I
really?
felt like that was like a, Meghan Markle, pro Meghan Markle moment.
Oh.
So I'm any negative press she gets, I'm like, that's okay. All right, you're fine. This is a quote from Harry and Meghan's team regarding the Australia trip. As the couple depart Australia, they do so carrying with them the stories, insights, and partnerships forged over these 4 days, grounded in a continued commitment to supporting communities and building a more connected, compassionate future. I mean, what the hell does that even mean?
Megan, how's your dad doing? Compassionate, building communities, forging things, relationships. How's your dad?
Yeah. How's your dad? How's King Charles, who currently has cancer? Um, they're just so gross. It
Blah, 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 blah. It doesn't mean anything. There's no
never
specifics
does.
in there. They toss all these generalities around, like building communities and taking stories and blah, blah, blah. It's like, what does it mean? What
Yeah.
did you do? What did you actually do? It should be
Execute
very
anything.
easy. It should be
Execute
very easy.
do anything other than just show up and have your picture taken. So this independent article that I've been quoting, this is basically a warning to Prince Harry that's returning to the UK in July to promote Invictus, or kick off Invictus a year ahead of the actual games. And it says, while their team framed the tour as this big success rooted in compassion and connection, the public reaction was far more mixed. The whole part charity, part commercial approach left people confused at best and irritated at worst. And it's something they might want to think twice about before trying to replicate it again. I think the last time I saw the poll, it was over, and it was on your site, I believe, Daily Mail. Over 61% of the people surveyed in Britain said that they did not want Harry and Meghan to continue to monetize their titles. I'm with you. I think that the palace should step in and do something. What do you think would happen? What do you think would happen first? The palace stepping in and saying, check yourself before you wreck yourself, or Harry and Meghan listening to legitimate feedback, like we're seeing circulating all over the internet, all over the world, and going, no, that this doesn't work. Maybe we need to reconsider how we do this going forward.
Well, like all narcissists, true malignant narcissists, they never admit that they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's always somebody else's fault. It's always the rest of the world doesn't understand them, or it's why Megan's constantly reintroducing herself to us and like telling us her story over and over, because she thinks that this time is the one that'll stick and we will all change our minds and come to realize how wonderful she is and that she should be the Queen of England. I don't think the palace is going to do anything. I think as long as this is King Charles's monarchy, the palace will be maddeningly passive. And the most we'll get is just a constant gray rocking when Harry returns to England this summer. I doubt Meghan will be in tow. I think, like all great bullies, allegedly, reportedly, she is a bully. She is also a coward.
Yeah.
She can dish it out. She cannot take it. And then I think we'll be getting some leaks as usual from Camp Sussex that a reconciliation is in the cards.
Mm.
Things are different now. That always comes out of Camp Sussex. And nothing has ever truly, the summit that Harry had with Charles in September, leaks came out of that right away. And what we heard from the palace was Charles was very upset, almost disconsolate that even the summit got leaked. The attempt to begin repairing at any level, the trust which had already been broken was further shot. These two cannot help themselves. They're destroyers. They
Yeah.
are destroyers.
Yeah. One of my favorite Maureen Callahan quotes. A little off topic here. Sarah Ferguson is reportedly eyeing a 1.3 million pound tell-all documentary as offers roll in, according to the Daily Mail, from both the UK and the US. She is currently laying low in a luxury Austrian chalet. The renewed attention comes after resurfaced emails detailing her close ties to Jeffrey Epstein, including unusually affectionate language. Just marry me already was probably my favorite quote. Sarah maintains she was unaware of his crimes and continues to describe herself as a victim of the fallout. She's also stood firmly by Andrew Mountbatten Windsor amid ongoing scrutiny. I guess my question to you would be like, who wants this? I don't want to watch her sit down and try to tap dance. I don't give a you know what. I think good riddance, get away. You've always been a cretin as far as I'm concerned.
She's so grubby and ghastly. And even when I think her personal presentation, she just looks distinctly unroyal. You know, she looks unhygienic. She's constant. She's so greedy. I don't know who in their right mind, what entity would shell out $1.3 million. She's a grifter too. You think she's gonna tell any tales out of school? Do you think for a moment she's going to put herself or her ex-husband in legal jeopardy? You think she's going to tell all? She's going to tell nothing. Nothing.
I have a little bit of goss that I'm telling you this because of I'm reacting to what you're saying, but I didn't prepare to tell you this, so I'm trying to figure out how to say this without giving away too much. But like, there's been a real tug of war over who's going to write Queen Elizabeth's official biography. Like,
Hmm.
and there's a fight within the palace, like,
Hmm.
and all of these people that are incredibly capable of doing so. And there's been a name released. It's a younger woman. And the debate has been, did the king wait too long to okay this project, and did he give it to somebody young that he has a great relationship with so that he can potentially control a little bit of what's said? Because it's my sources understanding that he's worried about the Queen's diary and the Diana years. He's worried about if somebody writes a book and is true to the Queen's diary, that it will reflect negatively on King Charles. And Fergie has that knowledge right here. I mean, Fergie could create a. I agree with what you're saying that, she is going to protect herself and potentially the future of her daughters. Really, what does she know? But I do think she could hurt King Charles if she went back to the 90s and revisited some of those really unflattering years.
Well, remember though that Diana and Fergie were close for a time, and then Diana cut her off.
Mm-hmm.
So her information supply was choked off. I don't, this is very
And you
interesting.
know
This
when
is,
it was choked off when Fergie wrote a freaking book and talked about getting warts from wearing Diana's shoes. And Diana was so pissed about that's why they weren't talking at the time of her death.
yeah, it seems like a small detail, but that kind of humiliation is it's dagger. It's a real dagger. This is so interesting because, this is why I don't really love authorized biographies, because they're done, that's the deal. You get access in exchange for the subjects having control.
Mm-hmm.
And the Queen put that in writing and left it in writing while knowing she was dying for a very long time. And so in that way, I would argue perhaps the Queen wanted that as historical documentation,
Mm-hmm.
and I would argue that that's probably right, because I think about Jackie Onassis when she was dying, her window of time was quite smaller, but she burned everything
Mm-hmm.
before she died in her fireplace. She burned letters. She never kept a diary, but she was very cognizant of what would be left for historians and what she wanted private. So that's why I think that perhaps the Queen did want her feelings known about what she saw as the liability or the threat to the monarchy that Diana was. Diana, Harry is her son. That Panorama interview, and we all know the origins of it now. We're not on the up and up, but nonetheless, Diana was trying to torch Charles ever ascending to the throne. That was an act of unbridled rage. And Harry is in many ways continuing that.
Right. Well, I think that that they're concerned about the way that it reflects on King Charles because his behavior wasn't necessarily. I mean, I sympathize with them because I do think that they were dealing with mental health episodes
Hmm.
that we hadn't recognized yet,
Hmm.
that we don't, we're not, we weren't comfortable talking about it. Maybe that people hadn't even diagnosed some of what she was dealing with yet.
That the palace also kept hidden.
Yeah, yeah. And so, um, but also to your point too, Paul Burrell, Diana's butler, talked about how distraught he was watching after Diana's death, watching Diana's mother go through her office and burn, burn, burn letters, pieces of paper. And he was so concerned that that history was being lost.
Mm.
So that is something that regularly happens. And if the queen put it in writing, she had to know that one day it could be public. And so maybe it is fair game.
I think it is. I'm not quite sure. We all know Charles behaved poorly in that marriage. We all know he was carrying on with Camilla. I think he said to the Queen, it was either Philip or the Queen or both, he said, I'm not going to be the only Prince of Wales not to have a mistress.
But I think he said that to Diana. I think he said that to his
Oh,
wife.
forgive me. Even
I think
better. He said it
said
to
that
his
to his wife.
wife.
All right. Well, agree with us, disagree with us. Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. And please head on over to The Nerve and subscribe to Maureen Show as well if you haven't. And Maureen, I look forward to seeing you again very soon. I'm going to bring
Same.
my tightest pair of Spanx.
It's never necessary, Kins. We love you as you are, but we're very excited for our next event with you live with us, and
Do I get to
I'm
see your
really
dog?
excited. Well, I've got two now.
Oh,
You've
that's
got
right.
four. I've got two.
Yeah.
But they are both going to be in attendance. Actually, they are in some fittings as we speak.
Oh my gosh. Then I will bring toys.
Oh, that's very sweet. That's very
We'll make
sweet.
sure
Yeah.
they're not in the room though, because Teddy like gets riled up when we are ignoring him.
I know he's such a diva, and I'm telling you, the Stedman investigation that he's launched,
Yeah.
it's made his little head, I'm gonna say, just
Egomaniac.
that much bigger. He's really impressed with what he's been able to pull off so far. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with me today. I look forward to seeing you again very soon.
Thanks for having me.